All right, and then last but not least, I don't know that I have to wish you this, but I'm going to anyway. Have a wonderful first day. We'll have this session together, and then afterwards we'll break out for much of the rest of the day until the afternoon. We'll come back together for a couple of sessions then. And so enjoy the first day. And now I have my cheesy special effect to really get us started. Right? This is important. Are you ready? Let's hope. I couldn't resist that. You can actually go, there's a Star Wars website. You just type Star Wars crawl into the internet, and you can just make one of these. You just type in whatever you want. So birthdays, anniversaries, whatever it is, you can go do that. I thought that was really neat. And these are the kinds of things you do when you're procrastinating on doing other programming-related things. All right. So, without further delay, I'd like to introduce Hubert Hermans, and I'm honored to do so. I'm going to be brief in doing this because most people want to hear him rather than me introduce him. But Hubert's work on I positions and dialogical self-theory speaks for itself. We're very excited to have him here. We're thrilled to be hearing what he has to talk about. And I'm going to just jump straight to Hubert and not bombard you. He's very extremely successful. Has published many books and has done an immense scholarship that many of us are quite familiar with. And he can share some of his ideas with us this morning. So please introduce Hubert Hermans.
I'm afraid it doesn't work. Yes? It works? Okay. So,
all yours.
Yes. Thanks, John. Also thanks for the new I position of admiral. Another thing, John mentioned that he is not the best company of himself. And that's very relevant for the dialogical self, as I hope to demonstrate in this presentation. It's an honor to be here. In fact, I was here for the first time in the neighborhood in 1968. And students asked me, where do you come from? And I said, the Netherlands. And then they said, where is that? And then I said, well, don't you know the country? And then I had to explain that it's near Amsterdam. So I explained then that the Netherlands is a surrounding of Amsterdam. And then there was one student that was in Stanford, I remember, and he said, the Netherlands, that is the country where there's the first naked woman on TV. That was in 1966. The Netherlands was the first with a naked woman. Her name is Phil Bloom, 1966. Yes, what my purpose today is not so much to give a review of all the stuff which has been done after 1992, the first psychological publications on the dialogue itself. But my purpose is more to give you an impression of the spirit of the dialogue itself. I was reading William James, that famous chapter in the Principles of Psychology in 1819, and I was reading it and rereading it, and then after that time I found the work of Mikhail Bakhtin, so I had somewhere some impression of the self of William James, and the notion of dialogue of Bakhtin, and then gradually I tried to, in my thinking, I tried to bring the two together, so the dialogical self. So dialogue is typically something external between people, and the self is much more like something internal. So how can you bring the dialogue into the self, the external into the internal, and reverse the self into dialogue? And somewhere that's the challenge of the dialogue itself, to do that in the course of time. It's not a finished theory, it's moving, it has its strong points, it has its critical points, deficiencies, but we are working in a group, there's a group of people to further develop this dialogue itself. It's several years ago, a colleague of mine, a philosopher in Leiden, came to me and he showed me a book, and it was Aristotle, Ethica Nicomachia. And I was reading that book and I found a very nice treatment of friendship. So Aristotle distinguished three kinds of friendship. The lowest kind of friendship is when you have a friend which is of some use to you. You can use your friend for doing some economical purpose. You can have a friend, it's a higher level, a friend which is agreeable, to do something together, to do sport together. But the highest level is when the friend, he calls it literally, is an alter ego. The friend is like you, is the same like you, but he's at the same time different. And I think this alter ego element is very relevant to understand the dialogue itself. I found a statement in Hannah Arendt, and Hannah Arendt said, when we would be totally different, then we would not understand each other. When we would be totally the same, then there's nothing to tell. And this notion of alter ego, you can apply it to relationships between people, but also to the self itself. So also the self is an alter ego. So when you become a stranger to yourself, then there is only alterity can be so strong that there is the clinical phenomenon of depersonalization. But when you become totally the same for yourself, then you become totally bored. How can there be a disagreement? How can there be a conflict, an internal conflict? So in this field of tension between alter and ego, we can understand the dialogical self. The dialogical self is a space. And in this space or field, there are always positioning and counter-positioning. So the self, there was the philosopher Gadamer. He used the term the imperfection of the mind. I like that term.